afternoon, everyone. I'm Jennifer, and I'll be hosting today's online meeting, How the COVID-19 Pandemic Has Changed Our Lives, Stories in India. First of all, we're pleased to introduce Professor Jialing Chung, the Vice President of Office of International Affairs in NCHU. Professor Chung is going to give us some opening words.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. I'm Jialing Chung for International Affairs, the Vice President for International Affairs, National Zhongxin University. The purpose of today's event is to basically most welcome for the students from the TCUS, Taiwan Comprehensive University Systems. So encouraging the National Zhongxin University, National Chung University, National Zhongshan University, and National Zhongzhen University. And today, so we'd like to share how the COVID-19 pandemic has changed our lives, the stories in India. I think there are many Indian students in this four university, and we'd like to share the own experience, and also the lockdown city experience, and also country and regions experience. We're talking about the big country, big mainland exchange. So we leave the time to the speakers. So hope that today everybody enjoy the speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Zhang, for joining our meeting today and giving us these opening words. Now, let's please welcome our first presenter today, Professor Mu-Ming Chen. Professor Chen is the Deputy Representative of Taipei Economic and Cultural Center in India. His research mainly focuses on the international relationships between China and other foreign countries, China and India, last but not least, regional studies of South Asia countries. And our second presenter, Professor Roger Liu, who is the Associate Professor of International Politics from Department of Social Sciences in Flame University in India. Professor Liu is also a former NCHU graduate. His research interests range from political geography, interstate conflicts, quantitative IR methodology to India's foreign policy. And then, our third presenter, Ms. Namrata Hasija. Okay. So she's a research fellow with the Center for China Analysis and Strategy. Professor Hasija was the recipient of Taiwan Fellowship by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs last year and won the Huayu Enrichment Scholarship by the Minister of Education in 2014. Ms. Hasija's research interests are Chinese foreign policy and India-Taiwan relationships. Oh, and I forget. Can you please say hi to the camera? Hi, Ms. Hasija. Hi, and then hi, Professor Chen.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, and Professor Roger Liu. Can you say hi to the camera?
Hello, how are you? I hope you can
hear me. Okay, so now, thank you. Professor Chen, you may start your presentation now.
I do have some slides to share. Let me do this. Okay. Can you see?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Yeah, you see. Okay, wonderful. Okay. I'm very glad to be back home because I also a member of 中兴大学 award at 中兴大学 for more than 10 years, and last year I came to India and now work in Taiwan's representative office in New Delhi, and our official name is Taipei Economic and Cultural Center in India, TECC. And this is a very strange name as an embassy, right? But Taiwan's international position is very unique. So we use this very strange name. Yeah, but it is actually an embassy. So I'm now working for Taiwan government to be a diplomat. I'm a diplomat now working in our embassy in India. Actually, when I received this invitation to talk about how I see COVID and my experience in India, I have a lot to say because I got COVID. Yeah, I don't know, if other people in today's meeting also had a COVID before, but I think in Taiwan the chance is very, very low, but in India it's different. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about how I felt, what I experienced during the entire COVID pandemic time in India. We know that the COVID started last year in January, and in Taiwan in January the government imposed some restrictions on travel. Yeah, but here in India, the restrictions started much later in March. Actually, at that time I was still in Taiwan. So when India started the lockdown 就是封城 in March. I also saw this in Taiwan from TV, from news, and I came to India in September. So actually, for the first 6 months after India's lockdown, I did not really feel it. And for the students and the friends in Taiwan, when you saw COVID, last year before Taiwan had a very serious surge of cases in May of this year. Before that, most of Taiwanese people did not really fear the threat of COVID because it is too far. So I also had the same feeling because I saw this only from TV, from news. And then I came to India in September. And at the time, the situation was also very serious. Every day in Delhi, there were about 8,000 cases. Yeah, but the number was already decreasing. Yeah, and so in the next few months, we saw that the situation got improved and the number dropped. And then early this year, in January, the vaccine was introduced. So some people began to get vaccines. We also got vaccination in April. Yeah. So in March and also I think that in January and February and March, everything was looking better and better. Then so let me share one photo. Okay, you see this photo, right? This photo was taken in March when me and the ambassador and some of my colleagues visit a TV station in Delhi. Yeah, it's a News 18, and you could see that we did not wear mask, 没有戴口罩. Yeah, and everybody smiled. Okay, and so you could see that in March the situation was good. Yeah, and we saw that the COVID situation, will get better, and also because of the vaccine being introduced. So I think that later this year, everything will get back to normal. Then in mid-April, more and more cases increased, and but the most serious place when you see more increase of cases is the capital city, Delhi. Here in Delhi, yeah, and 4月19号, yeah. You see, this is the mayor of Delhi on this TV screen. I took this photo from from my TV in office. Yeah. On this day, the mayor of the city announced there will be a 6-day lockdown again. Yeah. So in the past few months, everything got improved, everything got better, but suddenly, the government announced lockdown, and we all know that it is because the cases increased a lot. Yeah. And so in our office, we also had certain measures. We asked all our Indian staff to stay home. They did not have to come to office because of lockdown. You cannot go anywhere. Yeah, but we, as a diplomat, we still come to office every day. Yeah, because I live very close, only like 5 minutes of walk. So I still come to office. But you can see that on the streets, there are fewer cars, much less people. And before, when this lockdown was announced, we also went to supermarket and buy a lot of food. Yeah, because we did not know how long it will take, this lockdown. And then the story became very, very scary because from the TV and also from the news, you see that the cases increasing suddenly. Yeah, and in late April, you see that in Delhi alone, every day they have more than 30,000 cases. 每一天大概增加3万个 cases. And in the peak time, every day 40,000 cases. 每一天就增加4万个人。And in the whole India is like 300,000. 大概30万到40万 300,000 to 400,000 cases. Many of my friends they say that they have a family member or they have their friends that got infected, and we are also scary. Yeah, because we really don't know how serious this disease was. And then myself also got fever. I remember it was April 28, 4月28号. That day, I feel very tired. In office, I feel very tired, and then I start having fever. So I took some medicine for fever, and the same day, I asked our office to do a COVID testing, PCR test. Yeah. So I did the test. And I took some medicine, and in the next 3-4 days, I stay home because we were told that if you show any symptom of COVID, then you don't go to office. You stay at home. Yeah. So I stay at home, and I try to eat some nutritious, but it's very strange. First, you got the fever, and you took some medicine, and then after you took medicine, the fever dropped. The fever gone for a few hours. But after 5 or 6 hours, the fever come back. So I keep fighting fever for like 4 days. 大概有4天的时间都是发高烧, and you had no appetite. You did not want to eat anything. Yeah, and so most of the time you don't feel very comfortable. So you had a fever and you feel tired. So you could do nothing, just stay home, sitting there. And it also took because a lot of cases in Delhi. So actually it took 4 days for me to know the result of this COVID testing. So not until May 4th. Actually, May 4th was my birthday. So in the morning of my birthday, I received a message from office saying that bingo, you got COVID. Yeah. Well, so it is not a very good, birthday present. But what I can do, yeah. So the first thing I do is that I try to find out if I could see a doctor. At that time, there are several ways. The government and also people say that if your COVID situation is not very serious, you just stay home and you take some medicine, you rest, and in a few days that you will improve. Only when it is very serious, then you go to hospital. But I really don't know how serious I was. So my office arranged a doctor to come home to see me. So on that day, a doctor came. He did some checking. Then he arranged me to do a test. The test is to have a CT scan, the CT scan of my lung. Because you know that when COVID, in your body, then your lung will get infected. Your lung will get damaged. So I did a so-called CT scan test, is to see how serious my lung was infected. So that day I went to a medical center to do CT scan. The rest of the time I stay home. I also the doctor also gave me some medicine. He also asked me to buy some medicine. I remember that in addition to medicine, he also asked me to take a lot of vitamin C, and also zinc. And I also asked my colleagues from office to buy some other nutritions for me. Because I had no appetite. So whatever I cooked, I couldn't eat. So I tried to drink some juice. I tried to drink some milk. I think those and also chicken essence, 就是鸡精啦. Try to get some nutritious in my body. But the symptoms continue for another day or two, and eventually in roughly 2 days, the fever was gone. The fever was gone. 就是没有再发烧了. But I also found that I began to show some symptoms of breathing, of difficulty in breathing. I find that I could not breathe normally. So I managed to get some oxygen concentrator, and I use it at home. At that time, many people asked me, why don't you go to hospital? You go to hospital, get treatment. Let me tell you, at that time during the COVID peak time, it is very, very difficult for you to get a bed in hospital. So I had no choice but to stay home, take a medicine, use an oxygen concentrator. And eventually after 5 days, after I got the test positive, I was sent back to Taiwan for treatment. So this photo is actually not in India, it is in Taiwan. This is eventually on May 8th, 5月8日, I was sent back to Taiwan for treatment, and then I stayed in this room in Taipei hospital for 2 weeks for treatment, and eventually I got recovered and left the hospital on May 23rd. 5月23号的时候，最后就出院。So this is my personal experience about COVID, and let me show you one photo. Okay. Here you will see me doing selfie. Okay, on the left side, this photo was taken in March here in Delhi. On the right side, it was the photo I took when I had COVID. So you can see that I lose some weight. In just 6 days, I lose about 5 kg. I don't know what happened to me, but I lose 5 kg in just 6 days. Right now, I'm fully recovered. I've come back to India to work, and everything back to normal. And there's no any post symptom anything. So I'm okay right now. But it was a really, really scary experience for someone like me. I consider myself to be a healthy person. I was very careful. I wear a mask all the time, and I use hand sanitizer all the time. But I still got infected. But what I want to say, because I already talked about 15 minutes, what I want to say at the end is that how is the situation right now? in India, because many people saw me got COVID in India and then went back to Taiwan for treatment, saying, "Oh, India was very, very dangerous. It must be COVID everywhere." Well, I should say that it was very serious at the time. In April and in May, it was very serious. But after July, situation got much better for several reasons. Of course, one reason is many people also got COVID and they got treated and they recover, so they get antibody. 他们身上有抗体. And another reason is that many people also got vaccination. They got vaccines. So vaccine rate in Delhi and also in many other Indian states also increased. I think right now it's roughly 60 or 70%. I don't know the exact number, but I think that the most people I saw here in Delhi, they also got full vaccinated. Compared to Taiwan, actually, I think the vaccinated rate is even higher. And so this is late last month. I saw here in Delhi, we saw a news from newspaper because of the Indian government. They also did some survey, and they found out that more than 90% of the people in Delhi, they have antibody of COVID. 90% 以上的德里的居民是有抗体。So right now, Delhi is safe. Many Indian states and cities are safe. Of course, there's still some cases in Delhi, in a city of 20 million population, and every day now about like 30, 40, 50 cases. This is very, very small, compared to 8,000 or 40,000 cases per day a few months ago. And in some other states, the situation also get better, and some still have cases. But I think that in India right now, the situation is now under control, and we are now in a very relatively safe place to live. But it is a really painful experience. Not just myself suffering from COVID, but I know that many of my friends, they also got COVID, and some of my friends even died of COVID. And so I think that this year, the year 2021, will be a very unforgettable experience for many of us here in India, and also I know in Taiwan. Okay, I will stop here. I hope you enjoy my presentation.
Thank you, Professor Chen, for sharing your personal experience with us. It was definitely we're glad to know that you fully recovered and the situation is under control now. Okay, so Professor Liu, you can start your presentation now.
All right. So I would like to thank Dr. Chen Mumin in the first place, because he is the one who invited me to this presentation. And I'm thinking about how to do this. Well, I may not go into many academic presentations about trying to explain the spread of the disease, but I would like to share my experience. So how many students here are from India? Can you just show up? And is there anyone who is from India? No? Nisha. Okay, Nisha. Where are you from, Nisha? All right, Nisha and Tamaya. Nisha, where are you originally from?
Nisha is from Delhi. Nisha is from Delhi.
Nisha is from Delhi. Okay. And Naina. And Naina, where are you from?
I'm from UP, Kanpur.
UP, Kanpur.
Right.
Okay. All right. And there's Akash. Akash, you seems to be Bengali, right? But where do you live? Where?
In Kolkata.
Kolkata. Okay.
Trial.
All right. Anyone from Maharashtra, Pune, Mumbai area? Tamaya?
Trial.
Tamaya, where are you from?
Trial.
All right. Well, good to see you from India. I hope, I believe that you have very frequent conversation with your classmates or families back in India, and you know what's happening on the ground, right? So, well, I'm going to share some of my experiences here at the western part of India, which is Pune. So, I'm based in Pune. I hope you can hear me because I have to chat back to you frequently because of the internet connections. You can hear me now, right? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. For those who don't know much about India, well, Delhi is here. Delhi is the capital. After some years of the British rule over India, they relocate from Kolkata is the first capital, and they relocate to Delhi. And after 1947, Delhi becomes the capital, right? And we are here at Pune, all right? Pune is like the ninth largest city here in India by population, all right? The population of Pune is around 9 million. We have like 9 million people in this city. So many from Taiwan may think, wow, this is a big city, but actually it's not. Because the population of Mumbai is like 25 million in Mumbai, and in Delhi it's about 20 million, right? So compare with them, we are just like a mid-level city. And I am an associate professor here at the Flem University, which is a private, small university. We focus on the liberal education. So we actually are very different from those big universities like, there are some big names you might have heard of, like IIT, Indian Institute of Technology. That's like the MIT of India, right? And there are several campuses in different places. And there's the IIM, so it's a B school. Okay, so these are the big names, or you have other names like University of Delhi, or JNU, or University of Mumbai. But we are different. We are just like a private university, which is like a new thing here in India because as the economic grows here in India, well, they are more and more newly rich class. All right, they are successful in their business and they make money, and they want to keep their kid to study here in India, but with a different set of curriculum. So that explains the rise of many other private universities, which can provide some kind of different education experience compared with those public institutions, right? So I'm teaching here at Flem University. So this is what happened in our university during the lockdown. So just like Minister Chen, Dr. Chen, Professor Chen has shared, from March 2020, India has started the lockdown process. Okay, so since that we have been teaching online, so it's more than 1 year, right? It's more than 1 year. It's almost, well, it's not 2 years yet, but it's more than 1 year. So I want to share with you some pictures of what it looks like over here. So this is our university, the main gate. And for most of the time, the main gate remains shut. And if you want to go in or go out, you have to pass the security, right? And but we are the faculty members, so we have some privileges, okay? And this is our new track, field and track, and the new gymnasium here. So you can see that all these people that you can see here are actually the kids of those who stay on campus, the kids of the professors, or the kids of the people who staff work on campus. So for a long time we remain shut, right? So students just a lot of students begin their universities in their bedroom, right? So freshman year in the bedroom, that's the worst thing that can happen to you, right? Think about that, because for the young people, I was a young person before. The most important thing being a university student is to leave your home and have your own space, right? You want to have fun, either in learning or in your life. You don't want to stay home and begin your freshman year in your bedroom. But unfortunately, a lot of people have to do that. Okay, so well, this is a timeline over here. So in March 2020, we see the rising of the COVID situation. And later that year, India has seen the first wave, right? But the first wave is not very serious compared to the second wave we will see later in April, from April to May 2021, that caused a lot of lives, and the situation was so terrible, just like Dr. Chen has described. Well, he got infected, unfortunately, and got transported back to Taiwan. And I, just like his friends, well, I have some of my friends just unfortunately died in this COVID, the second wave, right? So it was really serious. During that time, when you hit Facebook or other social media pages, you read a lot of news about death, all right? Some friends' relative dies, or some of a friend just got infected and being admitted in the ICU or some other places. So that was not a very good time to face. And during that time, actually, I got an interview with a lot of Taiwanese news portals. So I can feel that the mindset or the attitude of the Taiwanese people towards COVID-19 is very different from what's happening in India. So it's very hard to, for people either from Taiwan or India to imagine what happened in their countries, right, respectively. So far, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Remind me of the time, all right? Because I'm not keeping the time, so please just jump in if I approach the end of my destination, all right? Okay.
No problem.
All right. So, well, in Taiwan, I know most of you are in Taiwan and you are well protected, okay? And the government actually has laid down very strict rules and policies for you to follow. To be honest, it's very hard to imagine from the outside, right? In India, well, we didn't expect it coming. The second wave that took place around April this year and ends like in May, right? So just before that, many people in India was very optimistic. They thought that, through the first wave, most of the people just got some antibodies, so they are well protected, right? And there are rumors flying around among different people, including the intellectuals or non-intellectuals. People firmly believe that we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and everything is going to end really quick. So on January the 28th, Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, optimistically announced that India is going to, recover from the COVID disease. And that's a time that India announced its plan to donate its vaccines to the neighboring countries. But nobody see the second wave coming, right? So this is one of the news stories that I got interviewed by the United Daily News or 联合报 about this. Well, of course, there are some exaggerated parts. And during the time, actually, people in India and Taiwan are imagining each other in a different way, right? People in Taiwan, especially my parents and my friends, are like, they keep asking me, when are you going to get out? Because every day when we read or see from the news TV channels or the newspapers, well, India is just like a sinking, ship, and everybody is trying hard to get out. But here, actually, we didn't feel about this, although we are reading the sad news around us. But, on the ground, when you're facing the reality, actually, everything is manageable. So, people have different, policies when they are facing this. And for the Taiwanese people, Taiwanese people are extremely careful and cautious about the disease. So the government and the people are pursuing the goal of 0 cases, right? And when I share this news to the Indians, the locals, or the grocery keepers around here, they were like, they like to ask me, well, what happened in Taiwan for now? I was like, well, there's 0 case, for today. And they were like, are you serious? Are you kidding me? Like that, because during the time, at the peak of the COVID situation during the second wave, the daily case of India is about 400,000 per day, all right? And this is, I guess this undercounted because there are a lot of cases being uncovered in large states like UP, the Uttar Pradesh, or Bihar, or the northern part of India. There are some populous states, and it's very hard to get the real or the correct statistics. So people always assume that there are more cases, hidden cases, that left unreported. Okay, right. So what's happening in India is, for me, I want to share with you some pictures taken during the lockdown. Well, during the lockdown, you are allowed to go out, but there are some, measures, social distancing measures that has to be taken, right? So you can see on the street, we are taking the tuk-tuk. This is like a taxi, like some of you, if you have been to India or Southeast Asia, you have taken that. So you can see the street are devoid. I mean, no people are here. And it's much fewer people you can see here on the street of India. And the mall over here, actually, you don't see the people. The mall actually were closed during that time. And what we can do here is to stay on campus and taking care of the cats. Right? So the cats got pregnant and come to the campus. But during that time, still things are happening on the ground. So this is our campus, as you can see. I would say this is different from other campus you will see from, public institutions. People still come here, and the picture shown here is that these are the movie crews. India is famous for its movie, the Bollywood, right? Bollywood is from Mumbai, so it's called Bollywood, right? The first B means Bombay, the old name of Mumbai, okay? So Bollywood crews just came to campus to take their shots, okay? So things are still going on. You can still go out, but just in a very limited way. And we got vaccinated here in Pune as well. So as you can see, people are waiting outside. But I know in Taiwan, a lot of people they always like to complain what the government has been doing, right? Like, how can the government let the old people wait outside, the senior citizens wait outside for 1 year? Well, the Taipei city mayor was criticized, right? But if you want to compare that with the experience of India, you will know how lucky you are living in Taiwan, all right? Our democracy works really well to hold those government officials and politicians accountable for every detail, right? It's very hard to imagine that democracy can work in that way. But here in India, let me share with you how long I have waited to get the first shot. We waited for like 8 hours, right, to get the first shot taken. So people are waiting outside like that. There was not enough seating for you, right? You have to find your own place to stay, right? We booked the slot for like 2 o'clock, but finally we got our shot like in 6 or 7 o'clock, okay? And you can see people are waiting here. And this is a hospital, and this is a private hospital that provides high quality services. You can imagine if you want to get a shot in the public hospital, things can be, totally different. All right, and we have to dress ourselves like that when we are receiving the shots. All right, people have different measures to protect themselves. Okay, and this is what happened in the mall. So you can still go to the mall. We have mall like that in Pune, but there are no people, as you can see. There are only the ads, the commercials are being left here over here, right? People are happy. People want to go back to the life like that, but yeah, you have to wait. All right, and during the time, a good thing for me is that I got a chance to go on the TV and share some of my Taiwanese experiences, all right, share the successful story of Taiwan over there. And during the time, people in Taiwan are facing another wave of, threatening gestures from China, right? Even it is for now. So we talk about that as well, doing some diplomatic jobs. But the people in India, actually, generally, they're more optimistic. And so far, as of now, the moment that I'm speaking, people are very ready to embrace the reopening of everything, okay? And this is taken during the Ganesh Chaturthi, or Ganesh's birthday. Ganesh is the elephant-headed god, all right? He is a god, he's a symbol of success. So his birthday is a very important festival, especially in Pune, in this area, because this area can be considered to be his headquarters, all right? So Ganesh is originally from here. So you can see people walking around in a very crowded, manner. There's no social distancing over here, but people are okay with that. And this is us taking pictures with the local people, as you can see. So you can see there are a lot of people around here, right? So everything now in India is almost back to normal, and people are trying to overcome their fears, and they are embracing the future. However, but now if you are reading the news, you will find that the fourth wave have risen in many of the European countries, in Germany, in Australia, Austria, and other places. So I don't know what will happen to India, right? We are still waiting for the things to settle down, but I hope everything will be good. But the last message that I would like to share with you is that, in Taiwan, you should consider yourself lucky, all right? Because everything has been taken care of so well by the government. And it's very hard to imagine why some people are still complaining about that. Well, of course, it's politics, right? Because we are living in a democracy. You have an opposition party, and they have to find something to do. Otherwise, they will be forgotten, right? People will say, why you're not doing anything? Well, the government just get the highlights and the spotlights, all right? They're doing so well. So they have to find fault. They have to find some very detailed things to blame on the government. But that's politics. But generally speaking, I would like you to, place yourself and think about and understand how well that you have been treated for the past few years. That's a successful story of Taiwan. And we all have to treasure that. All right, I will stop here. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Liu. We really do have to cherish what we have now in Taiwan compared to what happened in India. Thank you. And then, Ms. Hsing, you can start your presentation now.
Thank you. First, I think I would like to thank Professor Chung for giving me the opportunity to speak. And honestly, it's been a 2 months break for me from all my work and all my commitments. So it's really good. I'm feeling very good to be back, talking and just seeing everybody, because I've been kind of locked in my house. It's been 2 months. So thank you, Professor Chung, for giving me this opportunity to speak with the students here. And I think I'm also glad that Professor Roger and Professor Chung actually shared their COVID-19 experiences in India. I think all of us who are in India, we had different kind of experiences from, of course, grieving the loss of our closed ones. Personally, I also experienced the same, and it has been a difficult time. And trust me, of course, Taiwan's model is something that the world is looking up to. But we also have to understand that every country is very different. The kind of population,
that India has, and also the different strata of people that we have in India. It was not going to be easy for any government to actually handle the population and also the kind of infrastructure that we need for vaccination and other things. But yes, there were times, especially during the second wave, when there were desperate situations, especially oxygen concentrators, oxygen cylinders, hospital beds. I think all of us struggled at that point of time. The first wave was still a way better, but the second wave, I think, because everybody thought that COVID is has gone, and okay, we've got immunity, we have started the vaccination. So that laid back attitude was something, not only of course from the government, but also from the people, that cost us many lives, and we lost a lot of time in trying to cope with it. But my topic today is not, of course, my experiences related to COVID, but to talk about how things changed when it comes to India-Taiwan relations. And of course, China there has always been a factor when it comes to India-Taiwan relations, and also about how that of course created an interest in Indians about Taiwan. Through my own experience or research, it's been a decade that I've been working on India-Taiwan relations. So when I see a lot of writings from India focusing on how COVID changed India-Taiwan relations, I have my own reservations. Because that denies all the efforts that diplomats from both sides, scholars from both sides, common people from both sides have done over the past 25 years of our relationship. Yes, the relationship has slowly developed. COVID-19, the way Taiwan handled it, is something of a trigger that kind of fastened the process of people coming together, or people knowing about each other country. But all the people, including Professor Chan, Professor Roger, and so many people that I know, they have been working for more than a decade, to bring this India-Taiwan relation closer. So yes, COVID changed a lot of things, but slowly things were happening even before. Because of course we have offices like Professor Chan is here, and Indian office is also there in Taiwan. So people have been working for it very consistently. You see, with the new southbound policy, which was started way back before COVID, that also kind of triggered this, India-Taiwan relation. It was a positive thing from the Taiwanese government, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all of them have been trying. But yes, what happened with COVID was that common people in India became more aware about Taiwan as a country. That happened. But just to kind of credit everything on COVID, I kind of personally feel that's not fair, because then the contribution of many people, we are denying their contribution when it comes to India-Taiwan relations. Now, a couple of things happened in the past 2-3 years. Even before COVID, we see that India-China relations were actually declined on a very low side. It all started, of course, when the Belt and Road Initiative was announced by President Xi Jinping, and we had a Doklam crisis in 2017. So things started going downhill. Now, that is also the time when we see President Tsai Ing-wen coming to power in Taiwan. And she took that initiative of having the new southbound policy and reaching out to India. I think these two factors, when we see, how parallelly they went, actually kind of brought India and Taiwan closer. We had more visits, we had more students going in. I mean, when the first time I went to Taiwan was in 2012. So we had a bunch of Taiwanese students who were kind of, listening for us. So when we used to talk to them and they used to talk to us, we realized that both of us know very less about each other's country. And I would say fewer Indians, even in Taipei. Okay, we visited quite a lot of places in this trip in 2012. But when I came in 2014, I actually saw a change in Taiwan, in the sense that where the Hong Kong, thing started happening, and I was in Chung University. So that I saw a lot of protests happening, and I then of course saw the campaigning for DPP and KMT because elections were coming around the corner, and I saw the change in the students who were initially very hesitant in talking about politics, but now they were talking and they were saying that what happened to Hong Kong cannot happen to Taiwan, and they started taking interest in politics. I would ask students, who are you going to vote? And they would say, my parents will definitely vote for KMT, but we are going to vote for DPP. So these experiences, I would used to go and talk to them. That awareness came. And I think after President Tsai Ing-wen came, she deliberately made that effort to kind of wean away from China. And that's where more efforts were made from Taiwan to kind of come closer to India. And we see this new southbound policy. Under that, there were special scholarships that were given to Indian students. There were many policies that were floated to kind of bring India-Taiwan closer. And in India also, we saw a change in the government in 2014. So we saw some efforts because I remember the first swearing-in ceremony of PM Modi. Ambassador Thien was actually invited for the swearing-in ceremony from TECC. So small efforts were made. Of course, I would not say that India was very welcoming as the Taiwanese government, because India has its own reservations. We share a border with China, a really long border with China, unlike that of the US. So what the US can promise Taiwan, India will always be hesitant. And we have, of course, like everyone else, a one China policy. But I also want to tell all the students that it's always been Tibet that has been mentioned as part of China under India's one China policy. The government officially has never called Taiwan part of China. Yes, the policy is the same, everything is the same, but officially, I think we've never, as far as my research goes, I have never seen Taiwan being mentioned as part of China, in literal terms, as we have done with Tibet. But the policy, of course, with Taiwan has always been cautious. Our government has always been cautious. I thought, of course, with a change in government, we'll see more positive response. But I see positive response, but that's very, very little. It should have been more. And also, I think suddenly when we have a problem with China or we see certain changes happening, we kind of withdraw the steps that we have taken towards Taiwan. I think that, of course, needs to be addressed. So what happened when COVID struck India? And of course, everybody knew it came from Wuhan, China. Already, there was a negative image of China that was building on. See, when you grow up in India, and if by mistake you get into academics like me, so you hear that everybody in India will definitely have an opinion, whoever is working in academics will have an opinion about Pakistan. But now I see that discussion from Pakistan, it has shifted to China in recent years. And that's my own personal experience also, because I work on Chinese foreign policy. A lot of people, a lot of my friends, a lot of my relatives who were totally they never used to talk about these things, they have started talking about China, the policies and stuff like that. So yes, change has been there. So there was a consistent negative image of China that was building. And when COVID happened and the kind of destruction it has brought in our lives, people lost their jobs, people, lost their relatives. Trust me, this year Diwali that I saw was very mellowed down, at least in my neighborhood, because a lot of families, they lost their relatives, they lost their close family members. So, when all this started happening, we see more like a negative image of China that was happening. And then the Galwan Valley incident happened in April, May 2020. That further kind of, and especially because the soldiers died, a negative image, especially in the media, started. Now, even before the Galwan Valley, there were very positive reports about Taiwan in the Indian media, and especially about the way Taiwan handled COVID-19. And I think that kind of reached to many households in India, people who were unaware of Taiwan as a country started becoming aware of it, and they started, of course, like Professor Roger just pointed out, a series of talk shows on Taiwan, where somehow or the other, if it's not COVID, but something or the other, we started talking about Taiwan. I think that's a very positive thing that happened, during this time, because Taiwan actually used this problem that the world is facing in a very positive way. They showed the world that what can be done and what should not be done. So I think that created a very positive image in India, and we started seeing that a lot of people, especially the media, including our print media, including of course television, we see more people talking about Taiwan, even within households. I've seen that change when like I said, in 2012, when I was going to Taiwan for the first time, I had to explain everyone where I'm going. But now everybody, that at least in my circle, know very well. And even my cousins who were unaware of Taiwan, they know. And many of them actually kind of approach me that they want to kind of know more about Taiwan, they want to travel to Taiwan, and they discover that a lot of brands that they were using, like Acer and other, they realize that all these are Taiwanese and they are much better brands than what they were, the Chinese brands that are available. And I think that wave it has started, and I think we of course need more initiative from India when it comes to government ties. But at least people like us should be connected more, should know more about India, Taiwan. And I think COVID has changed quite a lot. Of course, like I said, changes were there even before. People were making effort, but now the effort that were made by these people is being paid off. It's being recognized as more and more people know about Taiwan, the positive stories, and they know, like India has always been bullied by China. They know that what Taiwan is facing as a democracy and what threat is there when it comes to China, Taiwan. So all that is all these things I see as a very positive things that have come out of COVID when it comes to India-Taiwan relations. And India-China relation is an all-time low. But like I always say, India-China relationship should not define India-Taiwan relation. But I know it's very, very difficult to dehyphenate when it comes to the government level. But for people like us, I think we kind of did that a really long time back. So I think that positivity that is there in India-Taiwan relationship, I think that should be sustained, and I think it will be sustained at because this is another thing that I always say, that India-Taiwan relationship, we have seen the approach always from top to bottom, because it's always been the decisions that the governments take, and that trickles down. But this is the time when I see that the approach should be changed, and it's changing from bottom to top, because it's when the people in India will start kind of recognizing and associating themselves with Taiwan, then the pressure will be there on the Indian government to act accordingly, because that approach should be there and that we should work on. And it's up to, of course, people from different stratas, not only government, to do that approach, that bottom to top approach. I think that's very important. And of course, students, yes, I have seen an increase, I think 3 or 4 times the Indian students that really want to study in Taiwan, because every day, trust me, I get messages on my Twitter, and somehow these people also get my phone number. They would message me that if I can help them, understand the scholarships, how they can go, what universities offer courses. So that has increased over the period of time. And I think the more Indian students we have in Taiwan would also help in this connect that I'm talking about India and Taiwan. And I think a lot of Indian students started going to China to study medicine. And China, of course, took advantage of that. They also kind of designed English language courses, especially for Indian students. And trust me, there are a lot of Indian students in China, because initially Indian students used to go to Russia and Ukraine, and but now the focus has shifted to China. So I think more Indian students will come to Taiwan, of course, after COVID, because how they have seen what happened during COVID in China. But they will also come if we have more specially designed English language courses in Taiwan. And Indian students, like, we always, whenever we have this scholarship ceremony, unfortunately, we've not had it for the last 2 years because of COVID. I mean, I always tell them that there is a marked difference between China and Taiwan. When you go to Taiwan, you will realize that the difference, because when I used to fly from Taoyuan airport to Shanghai or Guangzhou, if I'm taking a connecting flight, I have observed that difference in the people, their attitude in the country, the way they treat foreigners. I think that's extremely, extremely important for students in India to understand. And also this myth that we have, that Taiwan doesn't have vegetarian food. I always tell them that I'm a pure vegetarian and I have survived years in Taiwan, and I used to eat out very freely. You just have to, explore Taiwan to understand what a beautiful country it is, and of course, how safe it is. Even my European friends and American friends in Taiwan would always tell me that we don't feel that safe even in our own country. So these are the things that we need to probably advertise more about Taiwan here in India whenever we have a meeting with the Indian students, or whenever we travel to universities, listing all the good things about Taiwan when we, invite people for admissions and everything. I think these things are very important, and I have seen that change when I was in Taiwan in 2019-20. I have seen so many Indian students that I never imagined when I went in 2012 I will see. So the numbers are increasing, the numbers will increase more, not only because of what happened during COVID, but because what Taiwan is as a country. And I think if we keep advertising that, we will see that COVID might have played a role, but that is not the only factor that is going to bring India and Taiwan closer. So I'll end my presentation here, and maybe we can have more questions during the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hasija. It's glad to know that as a citizen in Taiwan that we increase our international visibility during the pandemic. Okay, so that's all for our presentation, and thank you all for the excellent presentations. We're going to move on to our last session, our Q&A part. If the students, if you have any questions for the above mentioned topics, please type your questions in the chat feature, and then I'll read them out loud, hoping that we'll be able to answer them. Okay. Okay, here I have 2 questions from OIA, from our staff. The first one is for Professor Chen, or maybe anyone you can answer it if you have any suggestion. Okay, is there any precautions taken by the Indian government after the second wave, third wave? Are people compelled or forced to wear masks or get vaccination right now?
Okay, yeah. Well, what I say is based on my own experience over here. Okay, yeah. I think that after the second wave, now people are becoming more careful about COVID. Yeah, and so here in Delhi, you see that many people do wear masks now. now it become like like our habit. Now you go outside or you meet with people, you wear mask and you don't shake hands like this. And the government, I think that what government did is to encourage people to get vaccines. Yeah, so vaccination rate is increasing. Yeah, and so that is why earlier in the slide I showed that the antibody rate now is very high. I think it is probably highest in the world. Yeah, but I also have to say that in rural areas it is different. Yeah, because recently I traveled to some other cities in India, in northern India. I see that that not many people wear masks. Yeah, so you still see some difference between big cities like Delhi and also the rural areas. Yeah, and so that's my answer.
Thank you. It's good to know that at least big cities, people have the awareness. Okay, and there's another question. I think this one is for Ms. Hsing. How do most Indian people see about China? Do they see China as a friend or enemy?
Okay. This question, it's not that easy to answer because there are many layers to it and many, like I said, India is a very diverse country in the sense of be it the educational level or be it the economic stability or there are many things. Once you visit India, probably it's the time is very little that I can't really explain this, but yes, there are many levels. Now see, when it comes to China, like I said, I have seen that change. Initially, when we started talking about Pakistan, everybody will have an opinion. Okay, you talk to an auto rickshaw driver, to a person sitting in an MNC, to probably a housewife, everybody will have an opinion on Pakistan, and it will always be a negative opinion. Okay, usually, like out of 100, probably 98 would not appreciate Pakistan. But growing up, I have seen now, at least the last maybe 7 to 8 years, I have seen a change. We talk more about China, and most of us don't have a very positive view of China. But there are different, like I said, different stratas. Now, the business community in India, see, it's not about friend or enemy. They have to do business, and they do a lot of business with China, and many of them earn a lot of profit when they do business with China. So when coming back from Shanghai, my flight will hardly have 10 Chinese people. It will all be Indians who are there for business or work and who are coming back. Okay, so they benefit from China in a very different way. But when they, of course, come to India, like I said, when the Galwan Valley happened and everything, when our soldiers die, the opinion is very different. But when it comes to doing business with China, the opinion is very different. Okay, so it's very different. But of course, during COVID, I didn't go out much. But for the little time that I, used to go out, if I'm taking an Uber or something, so all of them would actually blame China. And they will say first they gave COVID, then they attacked us. So that negative image is there. It's building up. Of course, also thanks to the media, the way certain, when you hear the news and everything, you of course, build an opinion within a country. And after Galwan Valley, that opinion has been built, and many, of course, people have, not only Galwan, it's been quite a while, but people were just unaware of every summer we have incursions. Now, my husband actually comes from Uttarakhand. So there's a village, not a village, but this is a district, Chamoli. Now, Chamoli shares border, of course, I say it shares with Tibet, but internationally, of course, it's China. So there, every summers, the soldiers actually cross and they write in Chinese characters, they write Chung. Okay. The villagers don't understand anything. They just see that something is being drawn there. But they come every year. Even in Ladakh, we have incursions every summer. But people were actually not aware of it that much. the kind of awareness that started coming in was, I think, after Doklam, when we had that 73-day stand. When it comes to incursions, of course, they knew that China is, and also the Indian government's attitude, especially, I'm sorry, but this is a meeting where I can say, but the approach of the MEA also, we kind of never called it an enemy state. We always used to call Pakistan an enemy state. But the kind of activities that China has been doing for many years, the incursions, they were kind of never, we never talked about it that much. It's only now, the last 4-5 years, that we have started talking about it. So the opinion about China, I would say, is negative in some sectors, but positive in some sectors. Because China is also, I think all of you are aware, they have this United Front Work Department. They have made inroads in India. They have lobbies in India. They have lobbies from top to bottom, be it the business lobbies, be it politics, be it academicians, be it students. They have lobbies everywhere. So they have also penetrated our society in that way. So to create a positive opinion. But yes, overall, I've seen that the negative image is being built up. But like I said, not everyone has the same opinion in India.
I see. I agree with you. It's definitely a very complicated question to answer. Depends on which perspective, either political or economical. Okay, and then let's move on to the next question. I think this one is for Professor Liu. During the most severe time, did the pandemic influence students' academic performance at school?
I'll mute myself. All right, the students' academic, well, that's during different situations, actually, people have different measures, right, to deal with things. So, speaking from the perspective of a professor, I would say that, for the physical settings, like when you can interact with students in the real classroom, actually, there are benefits. You can assign them into different groups right away, right? You can read their faces, you can see whether they're listening to you or not, right? And you can interact with them, you can just walk into them, you can work the crowd, right? But you lost everything like that when you're doing everything online. So you cannot see their face. Well, whatever they're doing, you don't know. And, we have been students, so we know what they will be doing, right? Well, it's a lot of people just feel safer when they can hide themselves behind the screens, pretending they're listening to you, right? At the same time, they're Facebooking, they're Twittering, they're trying to reply to emails, or some of them are trying to write their statement of purposes when they're trying to, apply for other universities. We all know that. So you have to change the way of assessment, right? You have to give them different works to do, right? But I think, well, very interestingly, things are the same. Well, things don't. Some basic things don't get changed, whether you are doing the class physically or online. Well, the first thing is that good students are always good students. All right, students have strong motivations. They will find every chance or opportunity to learn. So they will still interact with you, no matter things are taken, physically or online. So that didn't change. For the online thing, I think, it forces the teachers to think of things in a different way, right? Like you will have to think of some creative jobs for the students to do. A lot of teachers like to give traditional works for the students, like the midterm, all right? The written midterms, everybody has to go to the classroom and sit down together and to answer a fixed set of questions, all right? And the faculty members are going to to grade that after that. But now you will have to give students papers or, the group works for them to do, okay? or to assign them some audiovisual media, like asking them to watch some film or video clips on the YouTube and try to produce a response paper, right? So, well, right, but I still miss the time that we have interactions in the physical classroom, and this is something that you cannot, this kind of experiential learning is something that you cannot replace. Still, interacting with the real people makes much difference compared with the online experiences. But I believe that some of you have, read some positive experience for some specific group of people that they enjoy actually, online courses more, because, some people are extremely shy. So working online actually provides them a better platform, right? That's my long answer to your short question.
Okay, thank you. Online learning does have its pros and cons. Okay, and I think this is our last question to Ms. Hsing. Do you think media's role is also one of the causes that we are not treating China as enemy or fail to recognize Taiwan so far?
Okay, thank you for the question. See, media is just one of the factors. Of course, media has a lot of influence because, like I always say, that if someone like me writes an article on India-Taiwan relations, there's only a very limited number of people that are going to read it, right? If I publish in maybe Times of India, at least more people will read it, but it will be maybe in the cities and towns that people will read it. Now, if I publish in the Hindu, I limit myself again because there's only a very limited number of people that are going to read the Hindu. But if I publish in a regional language, more people will read it. If it's on the television, it goes to every household. These days, I think many people in India, they have internet connection, they see YouTube on their phones, they all these things have increased the influence of media, which was not there, of course, maybe 20 years back, 10 years back or 15 years back. When I was growing up, we had no YouTube, we had no social media, so things used to reach us through proper formal channels, in the sense, which used to take a lot of time. But now it's at your tip, right? You just click, and if you want to know about anything, you'll get the information on Google, right? So now the role of media, of course, has increased. But I would still say that media is not the only factor that we should bring in here when we are talking about India-China or India-Taiwan relations. Okay, there are many factors. But yes, I would say the less coverage that Taiwan used to get in our media was one of the factors that a lot of people in India were unaware of it. Okay? Because media is very influential. Like I said, it has many forms now. We just cannot say that newspapers or television. Like I said, YouTube, browse. I mean, you just type something and you have so much information that probably, even if you're working on the subject, you don't have, So yes, nowadays media, because in media I will include everything, digital media, social media, everything. That has a huge influence. And that's why I said that now I see more of Taiwan in Indian media. I think that's very important. And the same goes for India in Taiwanese media, right? See, it's not only that the Indians are unaware of Taiwan. A lot of Taiwanese also, they're unaware of India. So it's both the countries are responsible when it comes to this. But now I see an initiative from both the countries, at least the media houses are taking that initiative. And I think that is also helping in India-Taiwan relations. And if this keeps on happening, it will have a much larger impact on the common people. like I said, it's important that now common people start becoming aware of Taiwan, because that is very important. Unlike, see, the government is not going to take all the decisions. They will always hesitate. I'm seeing that even now, because there were many positive things that happened, like our MEA tweeted for the first time when there was a train accident in Taiwan. But the last 2-3 months, I have seen that again, India is being hesitant when it comes to Taiwan. There are reasons, of course, for that, which cannot discuss here, but things will change. I think media will have a larger. When it comes to China, I think our media has never played. They have always pointed fingers at China. That at least I'm aware of. Only a few handles that I don't know if I should be saying that, but when they're it all depends on their ideology. So few media channels I know they support China. We have a lot of media houses publishing full pages on what is happening in Hong Kong and Tibet, giving them that space to speak. That is another factor, yes, because it's all about money. So they pay a lot and they get full editorial pages. And I am shocked and appalled by the fact that they are writing about Hong Kong and Tibet and we are letting them write. So media is both ways, right? But yes, when it comes to the positive image of Taiwan, I think our media never played that role, but yes, now they are doing it. It's been 2-3 years, they are making that effort, and I feel more effort will come from their side now. Because the government cannot directly do that, but I know at least the media can be used to create that positive image. And China, I think it's always been negative, but yes, few media houses have also painted a positive picture. But it all depends on their ideology, where they are inclined towards. Yeah.
I see. So it's our goal to both work to increase our visibility in both our country, either in India or Taiwan. Okay, so our last question. I think this one is for Professor Chen, our former Vice President of OIA. In your opinion, what's the strength of Taiwan to attract Indian students to study in Taiwan? Professor Chen?
Yeah, Taiwan has many strengths. Actually, right now, I live and work in India. Compared to my experience before in Taiwan and working at OI, I think that there are certain things that you could try to. I think the universities from Taiwan, professors from Taiwan, you could try to promote. To tell the Indian students that what will be your strengths. Because first, when Indian students they choose to study in a foreign country, they first care about scholarship. That is whether their studies will be sponsored by the university. Because the very bright students from India, they do get scholarship, in US, in particular. And the second thing they do care is that whether they do offer a full English courses. And this one, Taiwan, well, many universities they now begin to offer more English courses. But compared to Western countries or countries like Singapore, Australia, I think that the number of our English courses or English programs are not enough yet. But there are other things I think we should promote. That is like Taiwan's the environment. Taiwan is a very, very safe place to live. For many, compared to many countries in the world, Taiwan is a very safe. And also the living cost, I would say living cost, many many students still consider Taiwan's living cost is high, but I would say that you see the quality of living. Taiwan is not high, compared to Korea, compared to Singapore, compared to China. In terms of quality of living, is not high. Yeah, and also I would say that there are certain things that Taiwan should also try to promote. That is, Taiwanese are very, very friendly. Most, I think that many international students, their experience in Taiwan, they will find that Taiwan, you go out, easy to make friends, and also the whole environment, transportation, you go to tourist sites, you go shopping, is relatively okay compared to some countries. They are more rigid and more conservative. Taiwan is in general very friendly and open society. Yeah. So no matter where you're from and what religion you have, you are okay. Yeah. In Taiwan, you could find friends easily. Yeah. And I think that try to promote these things more. And yeah, I think that we could attract more Indian students to Taiwan in future. Yeah.
I agree. We do have to increase the English conducted courses and programs that will attract more foreign students. And I'm wondering, how about Professor Liu, your opinion about this? Because you're Taiwanese, but you now teach in India as a teaching fellow. Do you think there's any strain about Taiwanese students or Taiwanese universities?
To attract people from India, right? Okay. Well,
Yes.
Do you want to hear the truth or beautiful words? Taiwan is a very friendly place. That's a strength. But just like Dr. Chen has shared, when you make the decision to go abroad to study at somewhere, right? Because that's an investment. So when it comes to investment, people are thinking about the real things or the values that this program can bring to your career, right? So what can Taiwan bring to the Indian students? That's very important. This is something that we have to think about, right? Well, people would like to talk about the low cost of the Taiwanese programs, but the key over here actually is, what can the Indian students do with their Taiwanese degrees, right? When they go back to Taiwan, does this just add some, positive things on their resumes? This is something that we have to think about. So there are some graduates who who study in Taiwan, got their diploma and go back to India and work somewhere else. Well, I think we can see some cases that is happening for now. But we still need to have more promotions, because just like Dr. Chen has said, well, the English conducted courses are too few, right? Well, people really like to have high quality discussions about what's happening around the world in the Taiwanese classroom, right? Now we're talking about globalization. So that means even in a Taiwanese classroom, you have the world-class courses. You cannot say, well, because this is in Taiwan, so you have the Taiwanese quality of education, right? If you are only selling this, nobody will come, right? Why should I come to Taiwan? Well, China is growing, right? China seems to be very big, and many other things that it can offer us, right? Especially for the BRI countries. There are some countries like Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, or some, smaller Southeast Asian countries. A lot of students would rather study in China because China offered them some, good programs with the full scholarship and even the job perspectives after they graduate. They can work in Chinese-related enterprises or projects like BRI, right? So, but I think good things are happening because thanks to China, right? Thanks to the US-China confrontations, well, now, there are more and more foreign scholars or students or programs who are willing to relocate to Taiwan. One recent example is that the Harvard summer programs or Habeiban, the Chinese programs are relocated to Taiwan because of some political reasons. And based on my observation, I can see that Taiwan, the programs in Taiwan, especially in social sciences, are growing more and more internationalized. So we should focus on that. Recently in National Zhengzhi University, there is a Hsing 国际学院 being established. So that's the thing that we have to do. And Dr. Chen is at our alma mater, 中兴大学, right? I hope that someday we can see, a truly international school being, established, and we can go back and work there maybe one day. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to work hard for that goal. Thank you all presenters. We do learn a lot about India and life in there, and the China-India relationship and India-Taiwan relationship. Thank you all again to all our presenters today and the audience's attendance. Thank you.